Hi everyone, welcome to FIRM, Fairness in Reporting Media. Today, folks, we're talking about common sense in the 21st century. How about that one? What is it about, folks, the phrase common sense that kind of stops most people to think, hopefully anyway, most of the time, doing the right thing or legal thing instead of doing the wrong thing or against the law of the country, state, county, or town or city? What is it? Well, today, FARM will do a short examination of how common sense does affect our culture, society, and for better or for worse results. From editor and publisher Roger Kimball, you can see a small picture of him here, but he represents the New Criterion and Encounter books as an author. And his focus is on the title, I believe you can read it, Restoring American Culture. And this is the latest edition of, you can obviously tell, the IMPRIMIS pamphlet that's published pretty much every month from Hillsdale College. But this one is from February of this year, 2025. As we get into it, ladies and gentlemen, a brief additional piece of information on Roger Kimball. He earned a BA degree from Bennington College and his master's in philosophy from Yale. He's written a numerous bundle of publications, including the Wall Street Journal and the New York Times Book Review, and is a columnist for the Spectator World, American Greatness, and the Telegraph. He's also an author or editor of several books, including the ones we mentioned, New Criterion, and one called The Long March, How the Cultural Revolution of the 1960s Changed America, The Rape of the Masters, How Political Correctness Sabotages Art, and Vox Populi, The Perils and Promises of Populism. So, with that said, Donald Trump, says Mr. Kimball, declared that he and his supporters, you've probably heard this already in the newscasts, were the party of common sense. In his inaugural address, January 20th, Trump returned to this theme with his flurry of executive orders and said, "We will begin to complete restoration of America and the revolution of common sense," because it's all about common sense. Well, just a few excerpts from this one, folks. We're going to keep it brief, but to the point. After all, says Dr. Kimball, we could call him that, I'm sure, is it common sense to pretend that men can be women? Or to pretend that you do not know what a woman is? During her confirmation hearings, a sitting member of the Supreme Court professed to be baffled by that question. Is it common sense to open the borders of our country and then to spend truckloads of taxpayer dollars to feed, house, and nurture the millions of illegal immigrants that have poured in? In the cultural realm, is it common sense to celebrate art that is indistinguishable from pornography or some other form of psychopathology? Is it common sense to rewrite history in an effort to soothe the wounded feelings of people who crave victimhood? Is it common sense to transform higher education from an institution dedicated to the preservation and transmission of the highest values of our civilization into a wrecking ball aimed at destroying that civilization? Writes Dr. Kimball. Like most important concepts, think of love, for a change, justice, knowledge, or the good, because common sense is not easy to define. But we know it when we see it in action. I'm going to stop briefly right here, folks. The first one he mentioned, the most important concepts, the first one on that list of 4 that he gave is love. Love is an action, by the way. It's a verb. It's not a feeling or an emotion. because the more we know it is when we see it in action. And more to the point, says Dr. Kimball, we instantly sense its absence when it is supplanted by garbage. As we skip ahead in his 5-page presentation on this pamphlet called Restoring American Culture, IMPRIMIS, and our episode today, folks, of course, is just that, about common sense, but in the 21st century. So here we are. Dr. Kimball points out at the end of his article, all the initiatives bore witness to a culture at one with itself. It was a culture innocent of the self-loathing that's been such a disfiguring feature of elitist American culture since the 1960s. It's been going on a long time. The spectacle, he mentioned at the beginning, of Donald Trump's boundless energy, and the energy he calls forth from others, is heartening. Among other things, it makes us Americans appreciate, for a change, how his revolution of common sense might not only spark a political restoration, but also a new cultural golden age. Wouldn't that be nice? Now, as a conclusion to this informative topic here, folks, which is also one of our mission goals here at Firm, you see it right behind me all the time when we do our podcasts here. There are many types of common sense we want to run through here. Common sense websites to choose from, and we'll have them listed as well. Common sense media for age-based media reviews for families. Even the European Court of Human Rights has some insight to consider. Common sense media in the App Store. Thomas Paine's book in the 1700s called Common Sense. And other websites that promote common sense, such as constitutioncenter.org, study.com, and billofrightsinstitute.org. Let's run through some things here, folks, when it comes to common sense. You think the Supreme Court has common sense? It's a rhetorical question. Feel free to give us your answers. You think the mainstream or the lamestream media that attacks us has common sense? There was a picture and definition, believe it or not, in a restaurant years ago of just that phrase, common sense, on a wall, in a restaurant in central Maine. It said 1 in every 12,000 individuals born have it. I don't know if any of them work for the lamestream media over here. Long way to go. Does the local media have common sense, folks? Your local morning paper, as far as the greater Waterville and Augusta area communities, Central Maine Morning Sentinel, the Sunday Sentinel, and the bottom one, which you can hardly see, but there it is, the Kennebec Journal, pretty much based out of Augusta. Do they have common sense in their staffs? Merriam-Webster have a definition on common sense? Gee, I kind of think so. Let's take a look, shall we? Merriam-Webster, under merriam-webster.com, folks, common sense they call a noun. Sound and prudent judgment based on a simple perception of the situation or facts. It's just a definition, folks. It doesn't mean it's something you have to live by. Oh, and by the way, there's a lot of synonyms for common sense. Here's a few I think you'll get a kick out of. Discreteness, Gumption, chiefly dialect. Horse sense, level-headedness. Nous, N-O-U-S, chiefly British. Policy, prudence, sense, sensibleness, wisdom, how about that? And wit. Those are just some of those definitions, folks. Also, here's another question as we end the program on this brief topic of common sense in the 21st century. What's your best way, folks, to describe common sense when you, as a young adult or a parent of young children in today's culture, get asked, what should I do in this particular case or situation? I'm sure you want to guide your children in the best possible way to do good for others, as well as to do well for themselves, but not at anybody else's expense. So that is our program here, folks, and that's all we've been talking about is common sense in the 21st century. But as always, please contact us and view our podcasts anytime. 5 times a week, they're brand new. Right there at rumble.com/fairnessmedia1, and email us anytime, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at fairnessinreportingmedia@gmail.com, fairnessinreportingmedia@gmail.com. As always, you all good, law-abiding, and possibly looking for some answers, American and Maine citizens, stay safe. Peace to all.